today I'm in a planning mode. Why? Because I need to put together a list of materials I need to purchase to get some winter projects done around the cabin. And one of the very first ones that I want to tackle are these stairs behind me. I've mentioned these stairs several times previously and how treacherous they actually are. But I want to fix that situation and take care of some other things so that I can move forward with other projects in the cabin. So one of the things about these stairs is there's only one handrail. This is the handrail on my left-hand side here. And on the right-hand side, I don't know if you can see that, but there is no handrail coming down this side. This is actually just a mirror that I recently purchased, which will eventually make its way into the bathroom when that gets done. But because there's only the one handrail here and these steps are not perfectly aligned, they're a hazard. So let me head up the stairs and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So as I'm standing up here at the top of the stairs and I'm looking down, I see several things about these stairs that scare me. One is, like I mentioned, only having the one handrail and not having one on this other side, because if I were to topple that direction, there's nothing to stop my fall and I would fall directly into the living room. The second thing is right here between the subfloor of the loft and the very first step is this big opening down here. And I'm always worried that if I was in a haste or a hurry coming down the steps, that I'm not going to hit the step. I'm going to hit that opening. I'm going to fall through it. I'm going to break my leg and die. So as I continue down the stairs, though, I see another issue almost immediately. And that is this step right here, which is twisted, off canter, what have you. And that is a big issue there also. But then as I continue even further down the steps, I have another issue. Because there's no handrail on this side, and I don't trust myself going down the stairs, I reset, as you just saw, after every step I take going down these stairs. So now at the bottom of the steps, I have yet another issue. You could probably see it right here. This step is broken in half this way. And so much like that very first step upstairs, there's an opening between this tread and this tread. That is one of the very first places where I hurt myself on these stairs shortly after moving into the cabin. And then I have an issue if I look straight up the stairs, because some of the steps are twisted upward or tilted upward, I should say, and the amount of space between each tread is not consistent. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to address the consistency of depth between each tread, because my plan is to redo these stairs, but not replace the stairs, if that makes sense. Previously, I had planned on ripping these out completely and redoing them, but that's not really feasible. I can't afford it, and getting a contractor out to this part of Alaska is proving to be difficult at best. Even the local contractors are booked for the next couple of years from what I'm finding out. So I need to do something that I can do myself. But my original plan was, like I said, to rip these out and replace them and have the stairs come down to about here and then have a landing and then have 3 steps coming out into the room this way. Well, if I did that, it really only gives me this much floor space, about as wide as my arms can stretch out. And that's not enough. That is never going to work. And so that is off the table. But what I can do is I can retread these stairs. So Home Depot, Lowe's, any of the big box stores, they offer a retread solution, which is going to be the tread itself and then a riser. And that will help me to enclose these steps because I need to wall off the sides of the stairs. One of the reasons for walling off the staircase is to separate the dining area from the living room. Here you can see the wood storage bin that I built recently. And then on this side of me, you can see the backer to the wood stove. And that is actually just, for the most part, made of old speed limit signs. Not something I really want to look at. But creating that division between one room to the next is only part of the reason why I'm walling off the stairs. The other reason why I'm walling off the stairs is because of this hatch, which you can't see because the mirror is here. But as I walk out of the pantry and I come around to the end of the stairs here, there is a pulley system that allows me to open up a hatch so that I can make my way down into my root cellar. And I plan on putting in a man door there so that I don't actually have to lift up that hatch. That hatch has served its purpose, but it's actually starting to fail. Let me show you. This hook right here is where the cable for the hatch connects, and it's not going to hold. It's going to pull itself free. Because that hook is loose, what I've been doing is taking a bungee cord and hooking it onto the door handle of the latch, wrapping that around one of the stairs so that it'll hold itself in place. Because my fear is that where the cable is connected to the hatch door, if that were to fail or if that hook were to pull loose, then that door is going to come crashing down and it's going to conk me in the head as I'm trying to head down into the cellar. So safety is key around here. But as I mentioned about building the wall on both sides of the staircase, let me show you how I'm going to finish that out, because drywall is not an option in this cabin. So instead, what I'm going to be using is some cedar planks. These are just cedar fence pickets, and this isn't really showing up on camera with how beautiful of wood grain this actually has. This has actually been planed on one side. The other side is really rough. But what I'll be doing is purchasing these by the pallet load, planing them down, and then using those to finish out the inside of the cabin. So not only on these walls here, but on all the interior walls of the cabin, we'll be getting these and replacing all the old paneling that's tacked up. The paneling that's in here isn't tacked up very well. It's popping off in many areas, and it just isn't very appealing. It has that 1970s basement look to it. So the paneling's got to go. This is what's going to replace it. And this is also what I'm going to be putting up on my ceiling when I go to finish out my ceiling. So yes, floor to ceiling, it's going to get cedar plank on it. But let me show you what that's going to look like, at least here on the stairs. And then we'll talk about where I fell down a rabbit hole trying to figure out what my next steps are after that. So I already have part of the process figured out between the retreads, which are going to get stained to match the rest of the wood tones in the cabin, and the cedar planks for the walls, which are not going to get stained because I want them to gray naturally. When I look at the walls in my kitchen, they have this natural age to them, and that's what I want to see throughout the rest of the cabin. I want it to look old. I don't want it to look new or modern in any way. So that brings me to my next quandary, which is the rails, the handrails going up the stairs, as well as these rails here in the loft. So I have some considerations that I'm trying to keep in mind. One is my skill level and confidence in what I'm able to do. A lot of times I hear the comments or I read the comments and they say, "Oh, you're so brave." In some aspects, maybe, but when it comes to tackling some projects, no. I am very fearful of making a mistake. I don't want to put the money out on something and ruin it and then have to do it over again. So that's the key here is, A, is it in my budget? Is it in my skill set? Is it in my time budget? Not just my financial budget, but my time budget. And then does it fit the look of the cabin? So I'm not looking to do anything with a modern twist to it. So no steel cabling or conduit running across horizontally, no plexiglass or glass panels, nothing trendy, nothing that looked like it was from, 1980 or beyond, like not having it. So with those things in mind, here are the options that I have come up with. The first thing that I considered doing was replacing these rails up here and doing the stair rails going down with some flat sawn gingerbread trim. And I do like this, but it looks more cottagey than it does cabinish. It might look good out on the balcony when I get that done, but inside the cabin, I'm not sure it's the right look. The other thing is that those pieces themselves, the trim itself, one piece is about $43 at the lowest cost that I've seen, which when you have 12 feet this way, 12 feet that way, and two handrails coming up, that's more money than I really want to spend. And I could do them myself with a jigsaw, and it would take me forever. So time budget, it's not really there either. So I think that one's off the table. The next option that I came up with was doing iron balusters. And that I like. I like the iron balusters because they do fit the feel of a cabin. They do have that old-timey feel to them. And doing them going this way across on these straight pieces of the loft railing, sure, I could do that. That wouldn't be an issue. But when it comes to doing them on the 45-degree angle of the handrails coming up the stairs, I'm not sure that I would be able to master that one. And I'm afraid I might make some mistakes. Could I figure it out? Could I create a jig to do it? Sure. Is there a tool out there on the market to do it already? Possibly. Could I buy pre-made ones? Sure. But that's going to be quite costly. And also, because of the length of the stairwell, I might not be able to find exactly what I need at, locally. So I'm not sure that doing those are the right way either. Now, one of the iron rail systems that I saw, which I really do like, but again, I think it would be outside of my budget, are those that attach on the outside of the stairs and the handrail itself. Those are beautiful. They definitely have an old-timey feel to them. But again, taking my budget into consideration, I'm not sure that that's an option. So, I also considered just doing log pieces up as uprights in between the side edges of the rails. But I'm not sure that that's really the look that I'm going to go for. It is a consideration, but one other thing that I'm taking into consideration here is that I don't really necessarily want an open feel to the loft. So as you can see by looking at the railing next to me here, this piece is backed by the desk that I recently purchased, and I'll talk about this in just a moment. But on the far end there, you can see up into the loft, and you can see all the storage that I have up here. And I don't really want from down below people being able to see up in the loft and see whatever mess I've got stashed away up here. This is my sewing room. It's an area that will probably always be in some level of disarray as I'll be mid-project on something, so I would like for this area or the loft rails to actually be closed off. And they need to be more secure too than this. So I will be actually using 4x4s when I create the wall downstairs, the handrails, these rails here. They'll all be made with 4x4 construction. I know that might seem like a bit overkill, but I really like that big chunky look of the 4x4s. So that's what I'll be doing there. But I came up with a solution that I think might actually be the winner. And that is going to be going with a craftsman style railing system. So this is something that I could do myself. It is something that I could do very reasonably as far as cost is concerned. It won't take me that long to produce, and I can make it look top notch or high end, if you will. And that is doing a craftsman style paneled rail system that actually has a copper insert into it. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, copper, do you know how much copper is? Copper is so expensive. Yes, copper is expensive, but I can get thin gauge copper sheets relatively inexpensively. I can age them myself so they have that patina to them, and just insert them into each one of the panels, and it'll look like this. Personally, I think that that's the look that I'm going for. I think that that would be absolutely beautiful if I could do it. I could do that on the handrails coming up as well as on the loft rails, and I think it's going to solve all my problems. I did consider actually putting it also on the risers of the steps, but it might actually just be too much copper. So probably not doing it there, just on the rails themselves. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, because I am curious, if I'm way off track, overthinking it, because that is one of the things that I think we're all guilty of, is having analysis paralysis. But I know that that has definitely been an issue for me when it comes to doing certain things here in the cabin. I know over the course of the last couple of years, I've mentioned, oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And it might sound good at first, but then you think about it and you think about it and you think about it. And the more you think about it, the less likely you are to do something. Or at least that's how it is with me, because I begin to see all the pitfalls in what I was thinking. So who knows? What I'm mentioning here today might change before I make it into town to purchase the materials I need to do this project. Maybe. But I think I might have a winner here with this. We'll see. But let's talk about this desk, because this desk is also an issue having to do with this railing here. When it comes to the sample ideas of railings that I've considered for here, those images had wrong color tones or were way more over the top and elegant than I would ever possibly do in the cabin. So keep that in mind. No matter what I do, it'll be in the color tones to match the other wood tones throughout the cabin, and it'll be more simplistic and fitting of the cabin. So I just want to clarify that, because I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, some of those images I put together were really, really over the top. But speaking of over the top, I do not want this hutch, which belongs on the top of that desk, to go over the top of said railings. And so I'm struggling to figure out how I'm going to attach it, because it's not as simple as one might think. Originally, I thought, well, I'm just going to run some 2x4s up the 3 different sections along the back of this and along the back of the desk, and then just bolt them together. Easier said than done, because while I can bolt them through these larger compartments here, there are these cubbies down on the bottom that I cannot get into to bolt through the back of. And there's no bottom on the bottom of this desk. This is just the floor here. There's no wood that runs across here. So there's no way for me to attach it from the bottom to the top of the desk. And I couldn't really reach the top of the desk on the sides, or even the back of the desk on the sides either, because there's a false back in these cabinets. So these cabinets all have built-in shelves. These shelves don't actually pull out at all. And I'm going to stick the camera in here so you can see, but there's a false back on here. So between here and here on the desk, so about that much space, I can't even access the back of the desk. The only place I can access the back of the desk is here in the middle. So that's a bit of an issue. No matter what I do, though, I need this to be secure so that it can't fall over the top of the railings. And I need it to be, I don't know, I just need to be able to hide the back of the desk as well, which is part of the reason why I'm considering doing a solid rail and banister, because I don't really want to see the back of anything I have up in either of the lofts. And so the other thing about this is you're probably thinking, well, why not just set it against a wall as opposed to putting it here against the railings? Well, I don't really have a wall available in this room. This wall behind me, as you can see, is sloped. And I have tables set up underneath this. Right here is my ironing table, and then there's my sewing table, and then I have a workstation where the camera is sitting right now. And then beside you, I have all of these bookcases. And these bookcases were purchased because they fit on this wall exactly. From wall to the edge of the door frame, they are the exact length of space needed to occupy that wall. And so they're too long to fit here. This desk actually fits perfectly here, other than I need to attach that hutch. So if you have any suggestions on how I can get that hutch attached to the top of the desk without running the risk of it falling over or coming apart, because it's not really, you know, this is just a thin piece of 1/4 inch ply, I think, on the back also. So I might need to run some additional stringers across the back of this and across the back of the desk in order to make this happen. But I'm open to suggestions. Either way, I'll probably be hanging a quilt or something off the back of this to hide the upper portion of it and make it work. So that is that. But it is Thanksgiving, so I'm going to let everybody get back to whatever your Thanksgiving plans are. By the time you see this video, it will probably be Black Friday and everybody will be out shopping, or hopefully you're at home and taking it easy and avoiding the hustle and bustle. But speaking of hustle and bustle, there are 2 individuals that have really been hustling on YouTube, and I think that they deserve a little bit of attention. So if you have a moment today or anytime, would you head on over to see John in Alaska and Nomestead Off-Grid Alaska and pay them a visit. Both of those gentlemen have been, you know, rock stars in my mind with what they are doing and the way that they live. John is actually a true Alaskan. He's a true sourdough, been here all of his life and has only left the state a handful of times. And he just recently purchased a place up on Hatcher's Pass. So go over and check him out, help him gain some watch hours on his channel. And then the other one is Nomestead Off-Grid Alaska. And Nomestead is a transplant, much like myself up here. But both of these gentlemen are characters in their own right. Their channels are unique to themselves and authentic to themselves. And I really, really enjoy watching both of these channels. So if you could, you know, pop on over and say hi to them. I'm sure they would greatly appreciate it. Nonetheless, I'm going to let you get back to your day just after you watch some of these outtakes. Tongue-tied. Deck railings. Oh, as if I'm living outside. Feels like it sometimes. Hi, little guy. Hi, little guy. Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Don't hit the camera. Sit down. Good boy. So I am open through to the cabin. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about how I just ran up a flight of stairs and I'm now out of breath. I think I need some exercise. Maybe drinking water is an answer. I don't know. Just food for thought. See what I did there? And I just had a thought and it just escaped me. Yeah, totally lost my thought there. Because I heard a noise in the cabin and I'm not sure what it was. Until next time, happy Thanksgiving. Please take care and stay safe.